The opinions and recommendations expressed by Dan are his own and do not necessarily represent the opinions of this station or any of the show's sponsors.
So I've been asked to speak at a leadership conference in the Ukraine, sponsored by some academic organizations here in America that are going to talk about leadership in a democracy. And I was just thinking at the break, how do you do that? How do I do that without getting, I speak at a lot of leadership conferences, but usually in America where you're free to get worked up and people get the point and get the idea. Over there, it's kind of not the same. And you're standing there with a translator having to stop all the time. That should be interesting. I'll let you know how it goes. Anyway, I want to say this too. I have no problem with the safety net of unemployment because I think I need to make it clear. It's the economics of the ideology in Washington that I have a problem with. The idea that instead of going to the heart of the problem in that we have people that are unemployed, they are just appeasing or doing what is necessary to make sure those that are unemployed are free to stay unemployed because I believe they know in their heart of hearts or that they can't create jobs, or they know in their heart of hearts, which is more likely, that they're not going to because they don't have the will to. So my problem with the unemployment benefits continuing to be extended is not because I have anything against those that are collecting unemployment that, out of, an unfortunate situation, they have been forced to do so. That's not the issue here, folks. I want to make that clear. The issue is the philosophies, the ideology, and behind the extending the benefits. That's the problem. It's the nanny state mentality that is being perceived as an economic fix. It is not. Never has been, never will be. And that's what I have a problem with. If you're one of those people that are 55 years old and lost their job a year and a half ago and are still collecting unemployment, that have been actively out there trying to find a job and can't, I don't have a problem. I understand that the church 50 years ago has begun to fail those people that they took care of. And the government needed to step in with a safety net. I mean, we could probably take this back and blame the church. But the fact of the matter is, it's the ideology that I'm struggling with. It's the ideology, the economic model that isn't an economic model at all. It's a model for Marxism. It's a model for socialism, if you want to be kinder. But it is not a proven economic model leading back to jobs and prosperity. And that's what I have a problem with, and that's what we should all have a problem with. Let me see if we can get to Thomas now. Thomas calling us from Alabama. Hey, Thomas.
Yes, sir.
There you go.
Yeah. Yep, I'm doing good. I got to stand out here in the cold.
Okay, sorry about that.
I want to talk to you.
Sorry.
But hey, what I seen was a real nice old documentary. It was about the runaway slave as the title, and it goes into the entitlement programs of how a lot of things were started through Kennedy and Johnson and Roosevelt and all that. And it first started off enslaving the blacks, and now has gone into everybody in this nation. That it doesn't know discriminate. But the only way that I can see that the states are going to get out of all this is that they're going to have to probably take power back from the federal government, start collecting their own tax dollars, and give the feds or their small portion, and then the spending just might get under control.
You know what, Thomas? You have just come up with the exact model that would work and can work and has to work. And it gives me an opportunity to say that there is the state of Oklahoma. There are some men in the state of Oklahoma that are starting, I believe, this Sunday, and are going to tour for several months around the state, educating their voters, their people, about the difference between the states, what the states can do, and what they are obligated to do for the federal government by an order, under the Constitution. And the fact of the matter is, states aren't required to do anything under the Constitution. They don't have to take federal money. They don't have to. They can opt out of all of that. The states can change, and I believe that if a state like Oklahoma, or a state, any state, were to do exactly what you've just said, Thomas, and adopt this Thomas from Alabama model that they need to take back their state first, what that's going to do is empower other governors, other states, other voters in other states to do the same thing. And I would submit that in, 2 or 3 years, you could easily have 15 to 20 states now that are telling the federal government they don't want them interfering with what they do in their state. And now, state of Oklahoma, a very oil-rich state, is probably better positioned to do that. No one is better positioned, in my opinion, than Texas to do it. But there are states that need to do that, and I think you're right. I think that this is enslaving, and I like what you said there about the original intent of enslaving the black community with entitlement has trickled into all segments of our society now. And I think that the only way, first of all, it's going to take 2 generations probably to get out from under that enslavement. And the only way it's really going to happen, though, it's got to be initiated at the state, because what the federal government has done and is doing is enslaving the states. I don't know if you remember the governor from Florida saying, well, we're not doing anything with Obamacare. We're doing it on our own. Well, after he was in office, he did the math and he realized that he was giving up something like $33 billion of federal dollars. Wow, did he quickly change his tune. I mean, it didn't have the ability to think through this before he made the statement. And again, the federal government enslaving the states with dollars and with money. And that's why I say, if we're going to change things, it's got to be at the school board level, the county level, the municipality level, the state level, and it'll trickle up to the federal level because they'll have no choice. Great stuff, Thomas. I think you hit the nail right on the head. I sure appreciate the call. Let me go to Diane in Ohio. Hey, Diane.
Hi, Dan. Thank you.
Sure.
I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
Do you want me to
just start on in? Yep.
Okay. We each received a gift check from my mother at Christmas.
Okay.
Does the principle of tithe? My husband and I were discussing this. We're faithful tithers. We always tithe on our gross, but we were just wondering how or if the principle of tithing applies to monetary gifts. And he was kind of saying, well, what if she had given us, a car? Obviously, you can't tithe
right.
on an item.
Yeah.
So do you want me to take them one? Do you want to answer them one at a time?
I would say this real simple, Diane, and I'm not a theologian. This is my opinion of after a lot of years of speaking and studying on stewardship, financial stewardship. I believe that we should tithe on the blessings from God. Period.
Yes, I agree.
And I believe that if my friend or mom or dad or gave me anything, that would be an incredible blessing to me. I would hope that if my wife and I put one of our grandchildren through school or gave them something, that I would probably remind my children that, you know, that's a gift from God, and you need to tithe on it. So I believe that we need to tithe on all our blessings, and I think that's really important. So that's where I am with that.
Yeah, and I agree also, and you know, he does. We just kind of wanted some clarification on that, and you know, because what would you do in the event that somebody blessed you with a car? How would you?
Well, I can tell you what I would do. I mean, personally, or what I've done. I've always looked at that, and I've had situations where I've gotten not monetary gifts, but gifts that were, you know, material possessions, so to speak. And I've always looked upon that as a monetary gift, and I've done my best that year. I hope I have. I don't know if I really don't know if I've fallen short or not as far as a tenth goes. My goal, my wife and I's goal, is to do more this year than we did last year, and to continue to, you know, give beyond that tithe. I hope, but I would try to make it up through my, you know, normal giving. And
okay,
you know, that's what I do. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, that was kind of what we were thinking. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
We second question, then I have one more after that.
Okay. We
set up a Roth IRA and a SEP IRA because my husband's self-employed last year.
Okay.
And can we? Well, I guess this is a twofold question. Can we contribute the same amount last year as we did as this coming tax period?
Yes.
And our bank had charged us a $40 fee on those. You know, we're getting like 12 cents interest. They charged a $40 fee. Is that standard, or can we move that? We have a Scottrade account. Can we move that, or is there going to be a fee no matter where we have it?
No, there's going to be a fee just about wherever you have it. I don't know about Scottrade. They may charge it's usually the fee is somewhere $25 or $30. You know, there's some that are $40, obviously. The banks tend to be a little bit more than a Scottrade or an E-Trade or a brokerage account. But I would call Scottrade before you move it and ask them, you know, what's your annual fee, and find out what it is. And it may not be anything. It's very possible. And I would move it, and it won't cost you anything to move it. And yes,
okay.
By the way, the contribution's the same. I'm sorry. Yes.
We can do the same. Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right. And then for the gift amounts that our daughters received, they're 9 and 14, we were planning to put those into the Timothy funds.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard you answer questions like this before about whether we should put them in their name or our name, and it depends on
Right.
you know, what they're planning to do with college. And
Right.
Can we just go ahead and deposit those checks in their savings account after we tithe on those, because we're teaching them tithing principles also, and then move those to a mutual fund at a later time?
Well,
and then would it matter if it's in their name or our name if it was put into their savings accounts originally?
Here's what I would say is that if you're thinking about putting into a mutual fund and keep it in there for extended period of time, which you really don't have an extended period of time because of the age of your children, and extended period of time being 8 to 10 years, they will probably be needing that money before then. But
they may not.
Well, if they don't, then yes, I would do the mutual fund sooner rather than later. Now, I don't know that I would put it all in at once. I would take, if you think there's 8 to 10 years, I would probably look at a Timothy growth fund, maybe their value fund, their large to mid-cap value fund, and, put a quarter of it in now, put a quarter of it in maybe, middle of March, and and kind of spread it out. But I would do that sooner rather than later. Here's the thing on whether it should be on their name or not. If you think that you and your husband's income is such that they're not going to qualify for, any kind of, aids or scholarship or anything like that because they have, because of your income, once you fill out your income, your FAFSA forms, you do all your income, then in that case, it doesn't matter. I would put it in their name. If you think that, they could qualify for that, then of course, I would probably leave it out of their name because it may throw them to the bottom of the list to qualify for some of those things. So, but I think that you just have to kind of play that by ear and look at it. Other than that, there's a tax benefit to having it in their name as opposed to your name for some of that because of the dividends. I gotta run, Diane. I'll put you on hold for a minute in case you had a follow-up. We'll get to that after the break. You're listening to Financial Issues, 866-300-9298. We'll be right back after the news.